think we opened the gates of hell.
Hey, have you missed us?
Greetings, sir. This may concern. Christian Aguilar here, back with another movie review. And in today's movie review, I'm going to be reviewing the newly released Ghostbusters Afterlife. The film stars McKenna Grace, Finn Wolfhard, Carrie Coon, Logan Kim, Paul Rudd, and Celeste O'Connor. And the film is essentially about a mother with two children going to their grandfather's house, who has recently passed away. And when the movie opens up, we figure out that their grandfather is Egon Spangler from the first Ghostbusters movie, played by Harold Ramis. When they move to the secluded farmhouse, they figure out that their grandfather was a recluse and the town weirdo. He disconnected himself from his family and friends and the world for a reason no one believes to be true. So his grandkids discover their secret legacy that their grandfather left behind for them, and that is to become Ghostbusters. Now, I had the privilege to see this movie in theaters, and I went to go see it with my parents. It came out on my birthday, the weekend of my birthday, so I was really excited to go and see it. I just recently finished watching the first Ghostbusters movie, 1984 Ghostbusters movie. Actually, I rewatched it recently to talk to Shannon and Tyler about it. We did a whole rewatch discussion on the first Ghostbusters movie, which you can watch on the top right hand corner, or it'll be available at the end of this video. So with going back and rewatching the first movie, I felt like that was good prep for this new one coming out. I remember the first time I saw the first Ghostbusters movie was back in high school, so I became a fan of this franchise a little late in life. I even went out and got myself a little Stay Puft Marshmallow Man plushie just because I just fell in love with the movie so much when I first saw it. And when it came to this new movie, my parents ended up getting for me like a little birthday present at the movie theater, this $35 replica of the Ecto-1 car. And this is a pretty cool designed replica. It's not fully detailed because it is a container for popcorn. You know, it's pretty hollow, so it pops open there. Just pops open right there, and you can see inside. I think there might be little popcorn bits in there still, but it don't matter. And then you just seal it back up right there, and there it is. It's pretty cool. I like the dust design. If you can see that little dust design on the hood, I like the dust design on it. I love how they have the license plate. It's a New York license plate, of course. And the best part about this, I have to turn off the light for. Alright. It lights up. Look at that. That's so cool. So thank you, Mom and Dad, for purchasing this at the movie theater. It was like a large popcorn came with this as well. I was really glad to get it. This is pretty cool. And also watching the movie in theaters was also a cool experience. I want to keep this somewhere in frame. Maybe I'll just hold it for the whole review. I'm just gonna hold it right here. So what I thought of it. So when I was in the theaters watching this, I was pleasantly surprised. I mean, I went into this movie with moderate expectations, you know. I was just really hoping that we were gonna get a decent movie at the very least, you know, because the whole shit show that was the 2016 version came out, and it really left a bad taste in a lot of Ghostbusters fans' mouth. So I think this franchise was really had an itch to scratch, and this is what this movie felt like. It felt like it was scratching that long time itch that a lot of Ghostbusters fans wanted. For the longest of time, ever since Ghostbusters 2 came out back in '89, people have wanted a Ghostbusters 3. There has even been many scripts for Ghostbusters 3, I think one of which became a video game for the Nintendo Wii back in the day. So the idea to bring the Ghostbusters back was always on the table, but they just never found the right time to do it. And it wasn't until 2021, I think a whole 32 years later, that they finally have a solid sequel, a solid continuation for the franchise. And I am going to be spoiling a few things because I cannot describe how much I love this film without saying the moments that made me fall in love with this film. So a quick spoiler warning as of right now. Turn away if you have not seen the movie yet, but if you have, please stay and enjoy. Right off the bat, I really adore the performances in this film. There's hardly a weak performance, which is surprising. You would think that there is a weak performance in a movie like this, like maybe here or there, but no, there's no annoying character really. There's not really a bad performance. Everyone fits their characters well, and I felt like everyone could exist in this world. You know, no one felt out of place, and it felt really authentic. Especially McKenna Grace as Phoebe. She plays Egon's granddaughter, and it's so hilarious how they made her look like Harold Ramis. She looks like his granddaughter, which was a very nice touch, you know. And of course, her Laffy Taffy style jokes are just very charming and very hilarious throughout the entire movie. Like my mom mentioned, is her favorite. The first joke that she says, why does everyone not like Adams? Because they make up everything. You know, it's like little jokes like that throughout the movie is just, it just gives this whole entire movie a lot of charm. And again, McKenna Grace is a great actress. I remember seeing her in A Handmaid's Tale and thought she was like just really phenomenal in that. I'm like, holy crap, she's a bitch. Like, you know, she played that role so well. And I remember seeing her as, like, you know, a child actress in other stuff. So to see her in that role in A Handmaid's Tale, I was like, whoa, she could really bring it, you know. And of course, when I saw Afterlife, going into Afterlife, I know she was going to be probably one of my favorite parts of this movie, and she's a great actress, and she gave a great performance, and I cannot wait to see her in way more stuff in the future. Her chemistry with Paul Rudd in the movie is really spot on. The characters, you know, match each other in intellect. Actually, McKenna Grace's character is 10 times smarter than the teacher, so I like how they established their relationship in his back office when she went in there and she was like looking at all the seismic waves, like all the reports for the earthquakes that were going on in his office. I like how they basically bonded over that. She even made a geometry joke during this scene, which was really hilarious. I also felt that Paul Rudd was really funny in this movie as well. Despite him being a big name, he is not a main character in this movie. He is definitely a side character for sure. However, I felt like he was used properly, you know? He had his funny moments and he had his heartfelt moments, and I felt like he was used properly and given a good amount of screen time. They could have easily just like kind of left him in the dust, or they could have easily made him like an overbearing presence in the movie, but he wasn't. He was used pretty well, in my opinion. The standout performance in this movie probably has to go to Logan Kim, who plays Podcast in the movie, which is Phoebe's friend. Oh my god, like that kid is freaking hilarious. He was having me and my parents like crack up throughout this entire movie, and it was just so cool to see him and McKenna Grace's dynamic really flourish on screen. You can believe that these guys are friends. You know, like they can be friends. It didn't feel forced. It felt natural, like a natural progression. At first, she was kind of annoyed by him, but then over time, he grows on her. And that's like a natural progression for character relationships. And I really like how this movie takes the time to establish these dynamics, like Finn Wolfhard and Celeste O'Connor's characters. Finn Wolfhard is Phoebe's older brother. However, despite this, he's not really with her for a good portion of the movie. They're pretty much separated. You know, I thought going into this would be like a sibling thing, like older brother and younger sister are going to bond over discovering grandfather's secret past. But no, they hardly share the same amount of screen time with each other. They're off doing their own thing, and it's not until a certain point in the movie where they come together and they're finally on the same path. So I thought that was really cool and really clever to really have the daughter kind of feel like the main character between the two. It was really interesting to think back on the movie and realize that you don't really see them like in the full Ghostbusters uniform or anyone with the proton packs and using them to fight ghosts and capture them. We don't really get that like until like almost an hour into the movie, because the first hour is like a lot of setup, and that's good. I mean, this movie is really well paced. Nothing feels too slow, and nothing feels like it was rushed or like kind of forgotten. You know, like everything was fleshed out pretty well, and that was pleasantly surprised by that. We got to know these characters, you know, in the first half of the movie, and so when the second half kicks in, we feel for them. We don't want any of them to go, you know? And that's another thing. The stakes in this movie do feel high. There is a sense, there is a little sense of dread, you know? Like maybe they won't get out of it, you know? Maybe they will lose. Who knows? What if they lost the first movie and then they got to come back and win in the second movie? But of course, that's not the case. There is a happy ending to this film. But I like how the stakes are pretty apparent. Despite this being like a family fantasy comedy movie, there were still some dark stakes in there. And I felt like the movie balanced its tone pretty well. And I do admire that there was some creepy scenes in here too. There was a couple of imagery in here. I'm like, whoa, if I was younger, I would probably be like startled by that, and I thought that was pretty cool. They weren't afraid to be creepy at times, and I really admire that. I love all the car chase scenes, you know, all the scenes that involve the the car being driven around, and them trying to capture that one caterpillar looking ghost. That was a really cool sequence, them driving around the town. And of course having Egon's spirit kind of like guiding Phoebe throughout the movie, kind of like helping her discover secrets in the old farmhouse, that leads to the ghost trap, that leads to the proton pack, that leads to all basically his past as a Ghostbuster. I like how there was a ghost helping out the main character, and that was a presence that we were all familiar with. And I love how the movie opens up with a Harold Ramis lookalike, essentially. They cover his face in shadow, and he's running away from something, and it looks like he lured something out and he has a trap set for it. And so he's running back to the house, and he's holding out the trap and he's ready for it, but something goes wrong. And that's the thing I always loved about the first Ghostbusters movies. Like, these guys aren't perfect. These guys are trying to figure it out. So I like how the main characters come across problems and they always don't really solve them. That leads to, like, say, his death, because that's what ends up happening. He ends up getting killed, which was pretty gruesome. When I saw that in theaters, I was like, holy crap, did they really that's crazy, man. And they really showed it on screen, and that was pretty haunting to see. And I'm like, wow, this movie's gonna be pretty awesome, just from the opening scene. By the time it got to the end, I felt like it wrapped itself up really nicely. I mean, the whole final confrontation at the farmhouse was just, I'm glad to say that people in my audience, when I saw this in theaters, cheered not once, not twice, definitely not 3 times, no, 4 times at the end of this movie. The crowd cheered 4 times at the end of this movie, and that was just so amazing. That was just so cool. That really felt like a nice welcome back to the theaters. I've been to the theaters since the pandemic. I've been here and there, but that felt like a nice, warm welcome. I felt like I was going to get that. I still hope I'm going to get that for Spider-Man. But I felt like I was going to get that for Spider-Man, not for Ghostbusters. But I'm glad I was wrong, and I'm glad I got that for Ghostbusters. The first time is when the original trio finally comes out. Bill Murray, Dan Aykroyd, and Ernie Hudson, they all come out in their Ghostbusters uniform, proton packs and all, and it was just epic, and people just like clapped, and it just felt like a grand return, the proper return that this franchise needed. And then of course the second time, the very emotional moment where Phoebe is standing off against the evil goddess, and she has the proton pack. Oh, and that moment, it really screamed Harry Potter to me, where both beams are meeting. The final confrontation between hero and villain, with the beams clashing at each other. That was very Harry Potter-like. So I really like that homage. I feel like that was an homage to Harry Potter for sure. And in that same moment, where Egon's spirit comes and holds her hand to help her with the proton pack, was just, people just started clapping. And when they revealed his ghost, people just went crazy. They just started clapping, and I was like, wow, this is an insane third act. This is epic. This is how you do it. And of course the third time was when everything was said and done, and then he hugs his daughter. The spirit of Egon hugs his daughter, and then his spirit kind of like ascends into the stars, and it's so cool because it's like little orbs, it's like little tiny sprinkles, and it goes in and it like meshes into the stars, the night sky, and it says "For Harold." And again, another emotional moment where people cheered and clapped, and I was like, wow, that is so cool. I'm like, they could fade to black there if they really wanted to, but they didn't. They showed the car going back to New York. So if there's a sequel in the works, which I think there is, I think it's going to be set in New York, which is going to be so freaking awesome as a sequel. That's going to really bring people out to see what's happening in New York and see the new Ghostbusters crew interact with the old city. That would be really awesome. And of course, the final time where people cheered is when they heard the original Ghostbusters theme and the end credits began to roll. Damn well they had to play the original theme song, and I was just waiting for it. I knew it was going to be at the end credits, so when people heard it, they cheered, and they felt satisfied with that ending. And I was really surprised to stand up and turn around and see the entire theater was packed. That was a packed theater, and I feel like this movie's going to make a lot of money this weekend, in their first opening weekend. This was a great film, man. This was very heartwarming. This was very funny. This was very feel-good. Just a fun time at the theaters, and I swear if I was younger, I think I'd be like in love with this movie. I think this movie would have been like a rewatch for me if I was younger. But I mean, it still is. This movie is really, really good. I mean, so good, in fact, that I'm giving it a solid 4.5 Skarsgårds out of 5. I think the only part I did have, I was having a little trouble with, just a little bit, was the use of certain original characters. I know that a lot of the original characters and cast members weren't going to have that much screen time because they're dedicating it to the new cast of characters. But I would have liked a little bit more, like Sigourney Weaver's cameo at the end kind of like threw me off because I knew she was going to be in the movie, so I thought she was going to have a little bit of a bigger role to play, kind of like, I don't know what it would have been, but I thought she was going to come in at a certain point in the movie, not at the very end, like the last minute thing. And it was also nice to see Annie Potts return to her role as Janine. However, I would have liked to see a little bit more of her. I don't know. Doing what? I don't know. Maybe that was part of my expectation. I felt like maybe the original cast was going to be implemented a little bit more into the plot, not just the little bit that they had. But again, that is not a huge deal. That's just a personal nitpick, and it's still actually a really fantastic film, and I cannot wait for a sequel. I'm pretty sure a sequel's coming, and I just cannot wait for it whatsoever. So that is it for today. Thank you so much for reading to the end of this video. What did you think of Ghostbusters Afterlife? Please like, share, and subscribe to support this little side hobby I am doing. The rendered image every Thursday and Sunday nights, 8:30 p.m. live on YouTube. Link to the channel will be down below in the description. I hope you're all safe and well out there, and I'll see you all in the next one. Take care.